star interview technique. Now, you may have heard of this. People have been talking about this for a very long time. The star interview questions or the star interview technique. Hopefully everybody knows that STAR is an acronym, and it stands for Situation, Task, Action, Result. And a lot of people use this term, the STAR technique or a STAR question, to describe what other people refer to as behavioral questions in job interviews. These usually start when they say, tell me about a time. Tell me about a time you accidentally, had your pants catch fire and you had to put them out in a hurry on the job in front of your boss and then had to explain yourself. Tell me about that time, right? They begin with, tell me about a time. There are other forms of it too. Basically, they're asking you about a specific story from your past. So everyone is pretty much going to have their own unique answers to these questions. And as a result, it's not really a question of memorizing a template answer. It really isn't. I know some people advise job seekers to do this, maybe at the most absolute basic entry level. Conceivably, you might want to do that, but you might be able to get away with it. But usually, that's not going to fly. You have to come up with something from your past, and they can always ask you follow-up questions based on the story you've told. That's why, if you memorize a template answer that some experience that somebody else had, it can get you into hot water, because then when they question you about it, you're having to dig yourself deeper into your hole, basically, put it that way. Okay, so we're going to get into this today. Now, there is a chat. If you are new to this is a live stream. I'm going out live, so it's primarily a Q&A, so you can ask me questions. So you should see a chat box somewhere near my face. If you're watching on mobile or on your desktop computer or on some newfangled device, right? We've gone into that before. If you're watching me on a refrigerator, you'll know what to do. And then you get a snack, right? That's the beauty of it. So I get it. Why you might want to do that. Other people might think you're crazy. Not me. Okay, so let's get into this. So we define STAR, situation, task, action, result. Why do they call it a STAR question? It's because that's generally the format of your answer. Situation, task, action, result. You basically say those things. Now, situation, that could be something as simple as, well, it was 2 years ago and I was working in the role of project manager. There you go. That was the role. That was the situation, right? Task, that's what you were asked to do. My boss came to me and told me I had to organize this completely disorganized project that, they had fired a person that was in charge of it, and they just given the project to me. They dropped it right in my lap, and I had to make sense of it. Okay, so that's the task. Action, that's what you did, right? So this is what I did. First of all, I did this, then I organized it this way. Thirdly, I checked all these things. Fourthly, I cross-referenced it to that thing, right? Now, those are your actions. And then result. What is the result of this? Well, we completed the project on time. My boss commended me because they said they felt that I did a really good job, and I managed to pull this whole thing together in only a very short amount of time, and that greatly impressed them. And we made our presentation and we got the contract. There you go. So that's an example of the STAR format, where you give your answer in that form, STAR. Now, why would you do this? Well, number one, it prevents you from rambling on for 10 minutes. Have you ever done that? Where, you're asked to tell a story, or you're just having a conversation and you tell a story, and, you end up starting to tell this story, but it's taken you a really long time to get to the point, and several minutes go by and you haven't really got to the main point of the story yet. But by this point, it's too long, and the other person just sort of cuts you off, or says, I'm not interested anymore, or changes the subject, or leaves, right? So if you've ever been in that situation before, you know what I'm talking about. This keeps you on task. It allows you to summarize the essential points so you can give an answer in, say, a minute and have it fully answer the question, have the interviewer who asked it not get bored, and be able to get something, get something good from the thing. Okay, but anyway, to get back to the STAR interview technique, which is, after all, what I'm covering today, we talked about the definition of STAR, what that is. We talked about how it's the same thing as a behavioral question, and we talked about how it's the format you use to answer the question. That's why the name is worth remembering. Okay? Now, let's see here. Basically, I recommend that everybody who is practicing for a job interview, they're getting their story straight, like how to answer all the different questions they will likely ask you, okay, is that you prepare for these STAR questions, these behavioral questions. And the thing that I recommend people to do is take 10 stories from your past career, that is, all the jobs you've had, okay, and memorize them and practice saying them using that STAR method. So situation, task, action, result. So you can get your answer down to about 1 minute. It doesn't take you longer than about a minute to tell these stories and answer the question. And in that minute, you've given them the situation, task, action, result, and your story has been vetted. So you're saying something that's not going to send any red flags. It's going to answer the question. Okay. So think of 10 of these, maybe your 5 of your most shining moments, your successes, and maybe 5 other situations that people might reasonably ask about, like a time you had to resolve a conflict or deal with a miscommunication or show creativity on the job or something like that, like those kind of standard scenarios. And practice saying those answers. So then when you go to a job interview, those answers are on the tip of your mind. Okay, they're on the forefront of your mind. And whatever STAR question they ask, you're going to answer it with one of those 10 stories. Okay, you're going to pull out the story that it's closest to, and you're going to say your answer and tweak it slightly depending on exactly what the question was that they asked you. Okay? That's how I recommend that you do this. Now, here is a little tip that I was, the last video I put out on my channel, I was talking to another YouTuber in the same space as me, who's a recruiter who talks about helping people to get jobs. Her name is Abby, and you should check out her channel. The channel is called Life-Work Balance, for those of you who want to know. And she recommended doing something that I think is really good advice. And it's a point about how you can use ChatGPT to demonstrate to you the types of questions that they may ask you in a job interview that are, say, in the STAR format. Okay? So let me show you what that might look like. Let's see if I can figure this out here. Okay, so here I am at ChatGPT. Okay? Now, let me just do something for 1 second. Instead of typing this out, I'm just going to do a sort of copy paste here. Okay, so how may I assist you today? So let's see. Here's what I'm going to do. So you could type in to ChatGPT something along these lines. Okay, analyze the following job and give a list of 10 behavioral questions or STAR questions I could be asked in an interview for it. Okay? Now, I'm going to go find a job here, just a job posting. I opened this earlier. This is Indeed. Okay? So we've got a technician, a paramedic, a psychologist. What would be good? How about a commercial plumber here? How about that? Just for a generic type job. Now I'm going to copy the job description. Okay. I'm just going to take the whole thing. How about this? Okay. And I'm going to go to ChatGPT I'm going to paste it into the prompt. Okay, so paste. Okay, so here's my question. So analyze the following job and give a list of 10 behavioral questions I could be asked in an interview for it. And this is the job, commercial plumber, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I guess I hit enter. Okay. Now, ChatGPT is spitting out some sort of basic behavioral questions that, you might be asked if you were in an interview for this job. So let's look at some of these. So it's broken out by, what it's probing for. So teamwork. So they may say, describe a time when you worked as part of a team on a project. What was your role and how did you contribute to the team's success? Okay, so that's an example of a behavioral question or a STAR question. And you would answer this in the STAR format. So I'm just going to make something up. If I was asked this and I was trying to get a job as a plumber, I may say, okay, S, situation. So this is in my previous job where I was also working as a plumber or a plumber's mate. Okay, that was my role. Task, what's it asking here? What was your role and how did you contribute to your team's success? My role in the team was to assist a journeyman plumber with major jobs, but also to work independently by myself on smaller jobs. So that was my role in the team. Now on the larger jobs, okay, we had senior plumbers that were journeyman plumbers. I'm just a plumber's apprentice. So my role was to assist. They would first plan out the role, okay? And, I would do this, I would do that, I would contribute advice, this kind of thing. I would carry out smaller manual tasks on behalf of the plumber, right? Okay, now actions. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. Over time, I have gradually graduated, as it were, from just doing sort of manual labor tasks to actually working my way up to actually making decisions on what materials we're going to use, what where we're going to run our plumbing lines and how we're going to do a job, and planning out the work, how many people are going to work on what area. I've sort of graduated to doing that kind of thinking work in the planning stage, as well as helping to carry it out. Okay, that's task and action, and then result is that I am actually ahead of the curve on my track to become a journeyman plumber myself, because a lot of people only really do the planning stuff once they receive their journeyman plumber status. I haven't received the status yet. I'm not fully qualified, but I'm already assisting journeyman plumbers in doing that work. So I'm a little bit ahead, of the grand scheme of things. And that's how I contribute to a team, and we do this type of work. Something like that. I'm just making this up off the top of my head about a job I know nothing about. So I'm sure you would do a better job if you were talking about something that you actually know. But that's the basic idea, right? So you can use ChatGPT to give you some basic, template starting point questions. Okay. Now you could enter in any type of job into this, and you could ask it not just to, give you 10, you could ask it to give you 50. And if you are doing mock interviews where you get someone to assist you at working on how to rehearse for your job interviews, these are great sources to draw from. If you have a assistant who's going to help you, just get them to ask you some of these questions. And that way, you haven't seen these before, so you don't know what they're going to ask. But if you follow my advice and use that technique of having 10 stories that you've preloaded and vetted and rehearsed saying in the right format, you can answer these questions pulling out one of the 10, the most appropriate of the 10, and then any behavioral question, any STAR question they ask you, you will be able to answer. It won't send any red flags. You'll have an immediate answer. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. You will exude confidence, and you'll be set. So that's what I advise for that. Now, if you want to go deeper, like I'm going to say a couple of times today, I have put all my advice into a course. So you could just take the course and everything's there and step by step, all laid out, one principle after another, and you get the full meal deal. So hopefully that makes sense.